right, y'all. I just came back from watching Superman 2025. Let's talk about it next on the G.A.Turks show. First of all, let me just tell you that when I give this review, I'm going to treat you like a friend, all right? So I'm not going to give you any spoilers per se, but I'm going to give you just enough to make you decide whether you want to go see it or not go see it. You ready? All right, so here we go. Going into this film, I did not want to watch this film. I mean, of course, it's a summer blockbuster. Of course, I wanted to see this creation that James Gunn has created that he's been talking about for a while. I've been waiting for it. But when the advertisement came out, I was a little surprised. I knew that it was going to be a totally different type of atmosphere. I knew that it was going to be more lighthearted and more just kind of light and bright in the, the colors and everything. I couldn't tell whether he was going back to the original Superman format with Christopher Reeve or if he was kind of upgrading what we have already had. I just couldn't figure that out. So then they started having a lot of the previews to come out. And it was very, to say the least, what I felt was whimsical. And I was like, you know what? I'm not sure. I didn't read the comic books, so I wasn't really sure of how I would feel about this. But, as I did a little research, I understood that this guy was taking what he had gotten from the official comic books from back in the day. So I didn't really know much about that. My Superman was Christopher Reeve. I enjoyed it. And the other thing that I felt as if the other Supermans after Christopher Reeve's Superman, I felt like they were missing that special thing that makes Superman Superman. I mean, are you a Superman fan? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like there's this whole apple pie 4th of July, chills up your spine type of thing that goes on with Superman. When you watch those original films, there's a certain type of American thing that goes on. And the other films just did not, they were just missing that factor. So, I was hoping, okay, maybe this could be a return of that. But when I saw the previews, I was like, there's no way. There is no way. So I kind of went back. I said, I'm going to give it a try. What I do remember is Superboy, right? Coming home every day around 3:15 out of elementary in the 80s. They would come on after school. Superboy, you had Aquaman, and of course on the weekend you had the Super Friends. So, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go into that state of mind. That's a totally different, I didn't do the comic books, but I did watch those and it was a totally different type of Superman. So I'm going to go into the theater with that mindset. So I'm sitting in the movie theater and, the first thing I notice is that I'm always looking for that big grand intro. I'm always looking for that. And they never give it to us. They have never given it to us since. I'm always looking for this big, the letters and the big music and the dun 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 dun. I'm always looking for that swelling, but it just never happened. And of course, it didn't happen in this one either. I was looking for it, but it just did not happen. So I was a little disappointed by that, right? So if you're looking for that, if you're expecting that, it's not going to happen. That was special to me. That's a nostalgia, professional thing that I believe every Superman movie should have, right? So the movie starts off, we don't get that origin story. We don't have to relive that again. We already know that story. But we get our characters. Of course, we're immediately introduced to Lois Lane, Superman, and Lex Luthor. I will tell you that taking on the role of Superman I would think as an actor is a huge feat, right? I don't know if I could do it, but this guy, he bodied it, man. He did it. There were moments when he would be walking around, he would have his suit on. Excuse me, y'all, I had to intervene. When I say suit here, I mean suit, not the Superman suit, but his suit that he had on as Clark Kent when he's walking around in his regular suit talking to Lois Lane. Now back to the review. And him and Lois would be talking, and he kind of gave you the essence of Christopher Reeve. Like you see that magic there. You see it. The strong facial features, the cut body, the way, he is in the suit and everything. I mean, he's walking around and you get that Superman-esque feeling from him as a character, even when he's playing Clark Kent, right? So I was a little impressed by that. I'm like, okay, he's bodying this role. He's getting into it. He's giving us that thing. And from the trailers, I just didn't see that. I just didn't see it. But once you are in the midst of the story, he is killing it, right? So then Lois Lane, let me tell you, I always wanted, back in the day, I always wished that they would have allowed Courtney Cox to be Lois Lane. I don't know what that's all about, but I always thought that she would have made a terrific Lois Lane, right? But it never happened. But let me tell you, this, I don't know who she is. I don't know where she came from. I'd never heard of her before. But when I tell you she nails it, she nails it. Clearly, James Gunn had a type. He wanted to give you a bit of Christopher Reeve, and he definitely wanted you to get a little Margot Kidder. And he just nailed it. I don't know who this Rachel Brosnahan is, but she did an excellent job. She was exactly character, look, everything about Lois Lane that you need. And the things and the situation she was put in, down to the clothes, you felt like you were looking at Lois Lane that you were familiar with. It was a little bit of return back to home, and I appreciated that. Now, another thing that I was really surprised about, to me, I never really understood Lex Luthor as a villain. I never did. I mean, I knew that he was ultra smart and he had a little money and he was able to cause problems. But this guy, Nicholas Hoult, I think that's how you say his name, Nicholas Hoult. Again, he nailed it. There was one scene where he's talking and he's doing this monologue and they have just his face and his bald head and his eyes, the color. He just did it. He was a formidable foe. He really gave Superman a run for his money. But there were a few things that I don't know if I liked or not. So there was something about Krypto that I wasn't ready for. I don't remember how he was in the cartoons when I was younger, but I do know that I remember him being very helpful. And this version of Krypto was slightly different. There was one scene where he did his thing. He came through, and it was a good scene. That's all I'm going to say about that. I can't wait to see what you think about it in the comments. But what I was surprised by is, how do I say this? Why he is there. Why he is with Superman. The reason that they gave was surprising. There was an audible gasp in the theater when I was watching this film, and I was like, oh, wow. Okay. Got it. So come back in the comments and let me know what you think about that, because it was surprising. Was it surprising for you as it was for me? There was one character who is definitely a homage to a character in the original Superman. I don't know if I should give it away or not, but yeah, the whole time I was watching this character, they made her very up to date. They gave her to another character in the movie Superman 2025, but she is definitely a homage character, absolutely from the original Superman. And when I saw it, I was like, I said her name, and there was even a scene where it built up to be just like a scene in Superman in order to save Superman. So it would be interesting if you know exactly what I'm talking about. Put it in the comments. So now there were a couple of things that I did not quite understand. So there was a scene, not revealing too much, but just inconsistencies to me. So I'm going to share it with you. All right. So you ready? Here we go. So as in all these movies that are being written today, for whatever reason, some things just don't come together well sometimes in the writing room. And for whatever reason, I don't know if they were just trying to play with us or whatever, but as you know, there's always initially been this thing where Lois is trying to figure out what's up? What's up with Clark? Why is he missing? Sometimes this whole thing about Superman's secret identity, right? So they're in the office with Jimmy Olsen, and Clark is trying to explain that he had an interview with Superman, and nobody gets to have an interview with Superman, of course, but she, in a true Lois Lane fashion, announces, hey, it's mighty strange that something to the effect of you get to have all of these secret meetings with Superman, all these interviews with Superman, like how is this possible, whatever. It sends you as a familiar audience member watching and knowing the story of Superman in this direction of, wait a minute, she's trying to figure this out. I'm loving it, whatever. But she's saying it in front of Jimmy Olsen, which seems to me like she would tip him off the way that it's shown. But then a few scenes later, you find out that they are dating and she knows all about Clark Kent's and Superman's secret identity. And it just kind of, it just didn't kind of go together, the scenes. And I'm like, they tried to make us feel like she didn't know. Maybe it was a decoy. I don't know, but it just didn't, the scenes didn't, to know that she always knew why he would have those secret interviews with Superman was, it kind of threw me off. It was a mystery as to why they would do that, and knowing that they had always been a couple or item. Now, one of the things that I like, there's a scene where he enters his home and of course he's beat up. We see that in the commercials, and they're rescuing him. And they say to him, let's put on his parents speaking because that calms him or whatever. So in the beginning, when he's coming in, I swear I could hear the original father speaking. We're talking about Marlon Brando. Listen to it. Let me know what you think. I honestly feel like I heard Marlon Brando's voice, the original father of Superman, Jor-El, in the background. But then when they show the father and the mother, of course, it's two totally different characters, but saying something different. But check it out. Let me know what you think. And I would be interested in knowing if I was wrong. I could be wrong, but that's the first thing I thought. Another thing is those eyes. The eyes that everybody was talking about when Superman flies. I don't know, guys. To me, even though there was this big hoopla about that, I don't think they fixed it. I think he still looks crazy when they show those scenes, and they have multiple scenes of him flying and you see those eyes. Some of them look okay. Some of them look a little creepy, a little bit. I'm not sure. Tell me what you think in the comments. Did you notice it? They even had fans making videos of them fixing it for them. Crazy. But you get there and I don't know. Do you think they fixed it? Let me know in the comments. Okay. So there was another thing that I questioned. So we get to meet Superman's parents, right? When we meet his mom, immediately, I think of Leslie Jordan. She has that Southern accent, and that just really kind of distracted me for a second because I'm a fan of Leslie Jordan. He was such a hilarious actor. I was a fan. His dad, I always thought that by the time Superman gets to Metropolis, that his dad had long passed, but he was there. And so I was looking for an emotional impact in the story because I thought he would pass or die, but that's not exactly how they did it in this film. In this film, he was alive, but he, of course, always had good information to give Clark Kent, and, he fulfilled that role. But I just thought that was a little inconsistent storyline in comparison to what we would normally get. The father was alive. But the contrast to him going home to his parents in the country, it was more of a psychological nourishment for him, a representation of home, his physical home. It's so funny because even though the parents both represents a source of comfort for him, it is the parents on Krypton that kicks off the entire plan for Lex Luthor. Of course, I'm not going to give it to you. And I know you're probably wondering how. There was this. So there were a couple of things that they showed us that were like really surprising. They explained the glasses. It's something about Superman's glasses. I'm not going to tell you about it, but it's a question that, many people have always had, and they absolutely go over it here. They nailed it. So that was a surprise. All right. So another thing that I was impressed by was they introduced the Hall of Justice. I've never seen a real Hall of Justice. So as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that's the Hall of Justice. So I was really impressed that they gave us that. So I guess that was a nod to what's to come. So I'm really excited to see how James Gunn brings that all together. So we were inside the Hall of Justice, and it was a really cool little scene that they had there. Now, I've always hated when I see things and I'm able to connect things in movies and kind of figure out what the ending is going to be. So there's this scene in the movie that has a baby. The moment that I saw this baby, I understood exactly where the storyline was going to go. Let me know in the comments if when you saw that scene, you knew exactly how the storyline was going to go. Immediately when I saw the baby, I knew exactly what was going to happen. But the other thing is that I thought that one of the characters that was introduced, without telling too much, I thought that I thought that they would go in a direction to hurry up and easily kill off one of the villains. But it did not go in that direction. So I was really happy about that. Everything that I thought about the baby came right on together. But the easy way out, they did not take the easy way out with what I thought was going to happen to help them kill one of the villains. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sure you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you go and see it. Let me know. Let me know in the comments if you know what I'm talking about. And then we get the new characters, the new superheroes. A lot of people say that the story is heavy-handed with the new superheroes, Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, and Green Lantern. I did not know that this guy was going to be Green Lantern. I did not know with the little short haircut. I thought that was just different. It'd be interesting to see if that character was like that in the comic books or something, but he didn't look like any Green Lantern that I had ever seen. So his presence kind of threw me off, but I was kind of happy that he was there. But I also like the camaraderie that the Green Lantern, Mr. Terrific, and Hawkgirl had. James Gunn has a way of making things fun. He knows how to have a good time with his characters. It wasn't heavy-handed. Someone said that there was a scene where it just seems like Superman was missing, and I don't know what those YouTubers are talking about. I think that sometimes they are giving us a video without actually having seen the movie. But I didn't notice it. The characters came together very well. I enjoyed them. But let me tell you about Mr. Terrific. Let's talk about him for a second. I am loving, and this is just, maybe this is my special perspective, and you'll know why when I say what I say. Mr. Terrific, I love the fact that they are allowing black people to be black. I love it. I love it. There's a certain walk. There's a certain talk. There's a certain way that we are who we are. And they allowed him to be black. They allowed him to show his cultural essence in the film, just as Black Panther was able to do that thing. I enjoyed it. It's always amazing to me when I see me, represented on the big screen doing things that we would normally see other cultures do. He has this great big scene, and he just kind of shine. They all have their scenes. They all do their thing. But I really enjoyed one scene in particular with Green Lantern. Yeah, just watch everything his green things create. Hilarious. So I enjoyed them. I enjoyed Hawkgirl. She was interesting, to say the least. I've always loved a good female superhero. Loved it. There's a female supervillain as well. And, I think what gets me is the powers, what powers they all have, how they're going to come together to use them, how they come together to dynamically have to be put in situations that only their powers can get them out of. I've always loved that. I've always loved that in the X-Men. I've always loved it in Spider-Man and his Super Friends. Now hold up. Now I know it's Amazing Friends. Never said Super Friends a day in my life. I must be getting over happy about the Justice League. That's it. I know it's Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends. Damn. Firestarter, Iceman, and Spider-Man. That's what I would love to see come to the big screen. Spider-Man and his Super Friends. And it was at this point that I knew I had messed up. But guess what? The show must go on. And I'm a professional. So back to the show. I think that that would be awesome. Yeah, so they're all put in special situations. Now, to me, this movie is not heavy with too many characters. I've seen a lot of videos where the YouTubers are saying that, it's just too many characters bouncing around. I think that James Gunn does a great job with managing each character. I think that I was thinking that, okay, we're not going to see Superman. This movie is supposed to be Superman, about Superman. How is this going to play out? I'm not ready for it. I'm not used to a world where he has all of this help and assistance, but the storyline and the way that it comes together absolutely works. It absolutely works. Now, I think they tried. I think that this generation will feel this thing that I feel was missing because I'm used to it being done in a certain way. That thing I talked about earlier, I kept waiting for this to happen. This guy who's playing Superman has the ability to give you that stoic Superman, proud American moment. I never got it. I think they tried to give it to us in a way that writing can happen today, but there is an original way that thing can happen with the swelling of the music, the moment, the writing that happens just at that time to create an epic situation to where now he is either going to kick ass or he has done a great job. We just do not get that historic moment. Could they have done it? I'm sure they can, John. I believe that James Gunn, he has seen the originals and he know what that thing is about. Again, what they gave us, I think he tried. I think that if you're a young person and you've never seen the original Superman, then you're going to feel like, yeah, this is good. This is good. But for the old heads who has experienced something different, it comes a little short. The story is not anticlimactic. It gets you there, but for me, it comes a little short. Is it a good movie? I think they do a great job. I think all the characters, nail it. I think that it's a great job. Now, one of the things that I liked is the love story. Superman has always had a light storyline about being in love and being romantic and all of those things. They sprinkled that stuff in here. Did they do it as well as the original Superman or Lois and Clark? It wasn't all about that, but it was definitely sprinkled in and it was definitely obvious and definitely done right. It does create a little romantic thing for, like it would be a good date movie. So I would say that if you are, into an action film, but your girl want to come along or your mate want to come along and y'all want to have a little love story, it's kind of mixed in to where you get a little bit of that. The way that it wraps up, yeah, it kind of gives you a little bit of that. So if you're looking for that, then you get it. So I think they did a great job with that. Real fast. The sound. I've been impressed lately with these sounds, the bass, the direction, the atmos, or whatever it is that, that brings it all together. I think that they're doing a great job with this. I can't wait to see how it sounds at home. I think that they are getting it right. Whether they will bring that to the at-home experience, I don't know. I hope they do. So James Gunn, if you're listening, make sure that 4K is done right, because I want that. I was amazed at the sound and all the action scenes. It just really made it come together. It made everything come together, and it made it much more exciting. Now, one of the things that I kind of, again, it comes short, but I think this generation will get it. That original score is mixed in. And it's nicely done. It's a little different. There are a lot of, much more moments that we could have had with the music that is, that we already have, but they kind of kept this one little bit of music score going throughout the entire movie. And it kind of gives you that stoic, yeah, this is it. This is the moment. But there were so many moments that they could have had with the music that they did not take. So I'm used to the score being, a third or a fourth character. And in this movie, they have the opportunity to do it, but they just don't do that in movies today. And I believe that maybe that is the thing that is missing, an epic score that helps to build and swell the moments, of danger, of success, of romance, or whatever it is. I just think that that is the one thing that is absolutely missing. Do they try to do it? I think they do, but it just comes short. No, they don't do it. I think it's more of a nostalgic thing for us that the score is kind of there, but it's not. It's not. So, maybe I just look at it from a lens of really wanting to have those moments, and I'm building it up myself in my head, and it comes off as anticlimactic to me because I know what it could be, but it just comes up short. So everything else, would I buy it? Yes, I would absolutely buy it. Is the sound great? Yes, the sound is great. Does the story work? It worked for me. Would I go see it again? Yes, I would go see it again. I would like to go see it with a crowd. There was one person who talked about, and there's this, I can't think of this YouTuber's name, but he said that these movies are just not for him. And I get that. But there were moments where people were laughing and it clearly just wasn't funny. I didn't experience that. I kind of enjoyed the little jokes that were sprinkled about. It's a little serious. It wasn't as whimsical as I thought it would be. It actually was, it came together very well. I found myself enjoying it. If you enjoyed Superman 2025, let me know. Let me know. And also, I left something for you in the comments, so I want you to check it out. People were asking me about my Zodiac tees, and so I'm letting you know where to purchase them at. Go into the comments, and they'll be right there. I'll talk to you guys soon. Until the next movie, I am G.A.Turks. Bye.